to Innsmouth, stranger.
Hi, I'm Rob Whiten from the Innsmouth Book Club. Join me and my fellow guide John Chadwick as we take you on a fortnightly tour of Innsmouth. We visit places such as the Picture House, the Library and Innsmouth Museum to discuss all aspects of weird fiction, whether it be book, film, music, TV or art. As well as that, we stop over at the Gilman House to have a chat with a resident guest. That includes authors, artists, musicians, in fact Lovecraftian creatives of all types. You can find our free shows on Patreon, and there you can also sign up as a patron, which brings you bonus content, plus a monthly PDF copy of Innsmouth News, which features articles, author spotlights, all the latest news and reviews, and more. You can find us at patreon.com/InnsmouthBC. We hope to see you soon, because remember, Innsmouth isn't just a place, it's a state of mind.
You're listening to KZOM, Oleander Public Radio. Hello, everyone. Welcome once again to People's Guide to the Cthulhu Mythos. Final episode, Season 17. Next episode, Season 18. Whoa.
Wow.
So, yeah, we've got a new logo up and everything right now. So don't be confused. It's still the same old show. It just has a different logo. Anyway,
I am confused.
Oh, Dave, I know. That's what always happens.
I am easily confused.
I know, Dave. It's what always happens. So, Gretchen, how are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing good.
All right.
I'm
Dave?
less confused.
Well, that's good. That's good. Anything fun and exciting happen over the last week?
Over this last week?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, David and I did a panel at the Wasabi Con.
Yeah.
It's a anime cosplay con that we did a Lovecraft in Japan.
Oh, very cool.
We did learn something very important.
What did we learn?
When you are doing a panel, it should be called H.P. Lovecraft in Japan, not Lovecraft in Japan, or people will ask you, is this about dating Japanese people?
Yeah. Yeah. I wondered that. And I'm sure people at first, because we had a few people leave at the very beginning, I think they were confused by our appearance. Like, I'm in Lolita. David's wearing a t-shirt. So is Scott. It's like super chill looking. We just have very random, and we walk up and sit down, and I'm putting out books, scanning the audience to make sure we don't have minors, and then removing books because we had a minor at first.
Oh, okay.
Well, because if you're going to talk about Lovecraft in Japan, it's going to be, of course, we have to touch very gently on the whole tentacles, hentai aspects, but yeah. But other than that, last weekend was good. I mean, it was good. I mean, that was a fun panel.
Very well. There was 30 to 40 people there, and
Yeah.
it was the last 2 hours of the whole con. So I was very happy with the way it turned out.
Me too. I felt we got all our information across. People were very engaged. They asked questions. I had 3 or 4 new followers after that.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
Awesome.
so that was kind of fun. And then I made David update his Instagram.
That's awesome. Yeah, last weekend I sold baby dragons and guitars and all the general stuff that I generally sell on the weekends. But
did you sell guitars to baby dragons?
I do sell guitars for baby dragons. So yeah.
Oh.
But no, I was at the Vancouver Craft Beer, Wine, and Whiskey Festival. I got to see Quiet Riot and Great White and Curtis Salgado and a bunch of other people. Yeah.
What was Great White's like big hit was that the Once Bitten Twice Shy, babe? Was that them?
Yeah, that was them.
I'm so good. I have a memory.
So yeah, it was very much kind of like 1987. The crowd was all like, "Yeah, I was in high school when this song came out, man."
Were
I
you
almost graduated that
wearing
time.
shades with Dayglow rims and a pastel button-down polo shirt?
No. This is more of like cut off jean jacket and t-shirts from the 80s, kind of like battle jackets, and like people being like, "Hey man, is it cool if I smoke here?" Awesome.
Hell no.
But big hair, sunglasses at night. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
bet that was cool. I mean, I don't know.
like we're talking about like 60-year-old metalheads here.
Oh yeah. Well, not even like they're like rock and roll heads. They thought they
Yeah.
were metal.
Yeah.
They're like retired glam, whatever. Right?
Yeah.
Is that the glam? Yeah. Anyways.
Anyway, it was pretty crazy. It was pretty crazy.
That's all. Come on, feel right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And this woman with like in her 50s who had like huge bangs, like in black hair and big dangly earrings. She's like, "How much is that guitar, man?" And I'm like, "If you pay cash, it's $150." She's like, "Awesome. How much if I have card?" $200. She's like, "Okay."
Whoa.
And then I sold it to. There's a lot. It's I have to pay a lot of stupid fees if I use card. So I try and do cash, but I still pay my taxes because I'm a tax-abiding, law-abiding citizen. Anyway, she's like, "Well, I'm gonna go try and get this signed by the band and donate it to a charity." And I'm like, "All right, you do that, man." But anyway, that was my Friday night. That was the fun that I had Friday night. But yeah, no, it was a fun festival. Yeah.
Cool.
Well, good.
Y'all do
So-
anything fun this weekend coming up?
Oh, this weekend I have another festival, or no, I have a farmer's market that I'm going to sell baby dragons and guitars.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm going to
That's
Enchanted
today.
Forest.
Oh, where are you going?
Enchanted Forest.
Oh, wow,
Oh,
cool.
I'm not there yet.
My friend JT he's a transplant here and from California, and he's never been to Enchanted Forest. And he was like, "I really want to go. I want to take some pictures there." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, okay, I'll go. We're doing this." So road trip.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah. So a bunch of 250-year-olds or whatever. I'm not 50, but we're we're on the verge.
Sure. Yeah, I got it.
But us going to ride the flume ride.
Yeah. I didn't have my ID on me the other day, and I wanted to buy a beer, and this lady in her 70s is like, "Well, you look pretty young to me." And I'm like, "Listen, lady, I was born during the Ford administration. Let me take off my sunglasses, which are these massive things that cover half my face." And she's like, "Oh, yeah, okay, yeah, you can have a beer." And I'm like, "Thank you."
Rude.
Anyway, but yeah, she's like, "Okay, you can have a beer." And I didn't have my ID on me, but so anyway, whoever's in control of beer in Washington State should nab that old lady and lock her up forever. Anyway, not really. I don't care. I got my beer. Anyway, so this week, not next week, this week, we're talking about the Starry Wisdom, called
Yes.
the Church of Starry Wisdom, and we're also talking about how it follows. And the 2014 American horror film It Follows, written and directed by David Robert Mitchell.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yes.
So yeah, Dave, do we have a center part?
I thought you were doing the center part.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. I am doing the center part. And it's a surprise, but it's something I talked about earlier. Maybe I talked about it just when you and I were having a conversation. Anyway, I'm going to be covering the 2023 Venture Brothers movie, Radiant is the Blood of the Baboon's Heart, talking about ups and downs of it, how it compares to the series overall, and what kind of cool references they've left in it, kind of obscure Venture Brothers stuff that you have to go, oh, okay, that's about Farrah Fawcett or something like that, like they generally do. Anyhow,
Robo Shiva?
Mecha Shiva.
Mecha Shiva, okay.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, I'll be talking about that in the center part. And yeah, all right. So let's get going with this show.
All right.
All right.
Yay.
So Dave, what can you tell me about the Church of Starry Wisdom?
Well, something, it first appeared in The Haunter in the Dark, and I looked it up. I brought up a PDF and I did the Control F.
Uh-huh.
The name Starry Wisdom only appears in that story 3 times.
Okay.
And I thought it would appear a lot more. And it is basically a cult that took over a church, collected a lot of books, disappeared, reporter died, and then Robert Blake stumbles into it.
Oh, wow. Okay. All
And
right.
it kind of keeps up with the motif that Lovecraft has with the esoteric order of Dagon, where the cult starts out in a physical church.
Uh-huh.
And it sort of corrupts from outside. So it finds a church or a church building to use basically as a disguise or a facade. And then it sort of works its darkness out from a legitimate church.
Okay. All right.
And we all know that Lovecraft, of course, was an atheist,
Sure.
but he was married in the church.
All right. Okay.
And so he does have some minor affinity with, at least the church buildings.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, no, it seems like it's a cult that other churches, other organizations are publicly denouncing, but it slowly takes over a church, whether it be in Chicago, San Francisco, Providence. Arkham, and wherever else, and it slowly takes it over. It doesn't have like more than 100, 200 people in it, and they just kind of like collect occult information and kind of hoard that information and do their unknown things. Is there anything else we really know about the?
I mean, sorry.
Oh yeah.
No, go ahead.
The only thing I know about it is that they are worshippers of like Narthlotep, and like, or this is like or Narthlotep is their main deity. Is that am I misunderstanding?
I think that sounds right.
In the form of the Haunter of the Dark.
Yeah.
Right.
As well as probably other forms.
So Narthlotep in the Haunter of the Dark form isn't the Egyptian god looking fella at that point, right?
No, it's
3-lobed-eyed bat.
Yeah.
He's what?
He's a giant bat with a giant eye, a red eye with 3 sort of sections, 3 lobes of his eye.
Didn't anybody in the church go, this might be of the devil before they allowed themselves to be corrupted? Or was the Shining Trapezoid part of this whole like experience?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I think the Shining Trapezohedron just like makes everyone be like, I'm okay with the 3-lobed burning eye flying giant bat thing with claws.
Word.
But here's the thing, and I'm not sure if Lovecraft did this on purpose. We never see the church. We find the church remain. We find writings about what other people say.
Oh, but we never see the church active.
So no, we see the building. We Blake finds the books. Blake finds the notes about it, and we don't know if Blake's sources or Blake is a reliable narrator or not.
Sure.
Again, with Lovecraft loves his unreliable narrators.
Oh yeah.
That's his favorite storytelling, like MacGuffin,
Mhm.
is the I am a madman now because of this, but here is my story, and you're like, well, do I believe this?
And so so we don't get firsthand accounts. We get secondhand what Blake finds written down and newspaper clippings, but we don't. It's not the only time really I was thinking about this today that Lovecraft really shows us first person account of what's going on in the cult that I can think of is Festival.
Yeah.
The Festival, we see this, we see what they're doing, and he freaks out and runs away.
Yeah.
But even the esoteric order of Dagon, we get this. Zedek Allen, is telling the narrator. We get evidence, but that's the only one I can think of where we actually see the ceremonies
Yeah.
of a cult.
Just a dumb question. I mean, George R. R. Martin's Starry cult or Starry Wisdom cult? Is this like a nod to this?
Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
Okay, I wasn't sure if I had mentioned that before when we were talking about the trapezoidhedron or the shining thing. Shining trapezoidhedron, right?
Yeah.
Hadron.
Shining.
I was told there would be no geometry. But yes, that's exact. And Martin also, and I have to admit, the only Martin I've ever read is his short science fiction and his wild card series.
Okay.
But
I
apparently,
watched Game of Thrones, and there's
it was
the
too
folds in there.
It had become too popular before I got a chance to see it, so I don't want to see something popular.
Sure.
Yeah.
But apparently, he's also got like a drowned god in the background. That's
Yeah,
Cthulhu.
that's pretty cool, actually. The
And
Kraken.
there's another group of writers that took Starry Wisdom.
Okay.
And it appears in the Illuminatus trilogy.
Oh yeah, of course. I feel like everything appears in the Illuminatus trilogy.
Pretty much.
Me again. The Illuminatus trilogy, is that the one where like the pale death horse or whatever? Like, is that the ones where oh no, I'm thinking of the incarnations of immortality.
Yeah.
Yeah. I for some reason I get those books confused. I don't know if it's just like the name has a vibe that makes me think that they're the same name.
Yeah, I think maybe some motifs that are the same there.
Is that what it is?
Yeah. But there also is that I think in the 80s or late 90s, they decided they wanted to do a little bit more spicy Lovecraft stories. It was published under Starry Wisdom. And that includes I think the first, but if maybe the first printing version or one of the first of The Courtyard.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, it's also a collection of more spicy Lovecraft stories.
Gotcha.
Spicy being like sexy or like violent?
A little bit of yes.
All of them.
Violence. Just I think to me, and again, I read it over 2 decades ago, and the only one that really stood out was Alan Moore's Courtyard, because that was the first time I had encountered it. But and there was like Lovecraft died in hell, I think, and his penalty was he had to look at his naked wife. So there was kind of it was supposed to be edgy. I don't know how much they succeeded on that.
Yeah.
Well, I wonder if that's, I mean, because I have a few of those, like, I need to go back and re-look at those comics. I have a bunch of those graphic novels of the Cthulhu tales, Lovecraft tales, things like that from back in the 90s. I hung on to those in the early 2000s. Do you remember those?
Oh, yeah.
I think that's when Yoggoth and Other Cultures came out, yes. And The Fall of Cthulhu.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I remember those.
And The Courtyard did get published eventually as a comic book, but it was actually, I believe, first published as a short story. And I first encountered it as a short story.
Interesting.
Cool.
I haven't read The Fall of Cthulhu, but in all honesty, and this isn't a pun here, I have read The Autumn of Cthulhu.
Oh, I have not read that one.
It's a good one.
What's it called?
The Autumn of Cthulhu.
No, I've not read that.
Yeah, I think it's supposed to be a pun on the Fall of Cthulhu, but it's the Autumn of Cthulhu. I think it was, if I'm not mistaken, and people can be like, no, you're thinking of the wrong thing. It's totally the wrong thing. One of the last few things that Joe Pulver Sr. edited.
Mm.
Yeah.
Oh, right on.
Yeah. Anyhow.
So is the church or the cult of Starry Wisdom, is it also a device that's used in like the RPG stuff too? I go to you guys for the RPG info.
Definitely.
Yes.
Yeah. No, it's the kind of thing that you can just throw into any major town if you want to, or you can stick to like, oh yeah, it's Equatorial Guinea, Canada, San Francisco, Chicago, Yorkshire, and Providence.
Oh, totally. I could see that as like a good plot device.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I haven't read it, but you can get it on Drive-Thru RPG. Our friend Ken Haidt wrote a whole thing on the Starry Wisdom cult, so it could be used in Trail of Cthulhu.
Oh, interesting.
So I mean, and first of all, anything Ken writes is worth picking up.
Sure,
But
yeah.
I think it's only about 4 or 5 pages. I mean, $4 or $5, and it's got quite a bit of information from what I understand.
Good to know.
Designed specifically for Trail of Cthulhu, but can be pretty much used in any game system.
Nice. Very cool. Very cool.
What's the Trail of Cthulhu?
It is a gumshoe system RPG created by Ken Haidt.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, nope. Robin
D. Laws. I'm sorry.
Robin Laws wrote that with Ken's help.
With Ken's help. Ken's done a considerable amount for that. Yeah.
It's basically a different version that focuses more on role playing
and storytelling.
And it's designed where it's designed so you kind of have expert characters, so you don't miss the adventure because you had one guy that wasn't an expert in cuneiform artifacts or something.
Yeah.
Oh, so you're like, so your characters are already at like maxed.
Yeah, and
the knowledge skills are split up.
Yeah, I always treat Gumshoe like, or not Gumshoe, but anything based off the Gumshoe system where I'm doing something, I treat it like a television show, and everyone's like, it's like your main character's like Quincy or Columbo or something like that. They're not going to mess this stuff up. It's part of the weekly show. They're going to get it. And they might not get it right away. They might get it in the second act, but they've got to get it by the third act, or, the show's all messed up.
Okay.
But yeah, it's less about combat, more about storytelling and having fun.
That sounds fun. I mean, I haven't played a Call of Cthulhu game in a really long time. I was in a pretty epic one that lasted for quite a few years.
Yeah. No. Gumshoe makes it so that you could play like Horror on the Orient Express in probably about like, I'm going to say like 6 months as opposed to 2 years.
Oh, nice. That's true, honestly. I mean, like, that campaign I was in was like one game that lasted like 5 years or something like that.
Like this episode,
we played
share
like
it with
every
people. Subscribe to the
twice
podcast.
a month or something
Find
like
us
that.
on Facebook. We're under People's Guide.
That's a Lovecraft
Cthulhu Mythos.
campaign.
We're on Twitter.
Sure.
I don't really check Twitter, so
I won't tell you how long our
just kind of
Changeling
the
campaign went
automatic
on for.
feed. If you just want to listen to us on Twitter for some reason, you can find us on any place, any podcatchers, Celestial. Of course, Facebook,
Providence,
Instagram,
sect, otherwise
and of course
known
the
as the
YouTube,
Church
where
of
this episode
Starry
will be.
Wisdom.
And
All right.
So
episode
up
is
next
brought to you
we've
by
got me
California
talking
Tea
about
House.
cartoons,
California
and then
Tea House
after
is a
that
family-owned tea
we're
store where you
going
can
to be
find
talking
some of
about
the
It Follows.
best
So
It's
stay
a
tuned.
deep dive,
and
baby.
organic herbal tea blends.
I got some
Like a fine
deep
wine,
thoughts
there
on
is no
this one.
comparison between
Okay, all right.
fine loose
Well, I'm
leaf
excited.
and common broken leaf tea bags.
So we'll talk to you about that
check them out.
after
Check
the
them
break.
out. They have quite a bit of pretty awesome tea collections. I'm a huge fan of their white teas. They have a tea club that you can join, but they've got green tea, black tea, white tea, oolong, that Robios and herbal tea. They've also got teaware. So check out California Tea House in the show notes. I want to tell you all about something. I want to tell you about a guy I know. In a place. It's not the interview pod, ha-ha. Ha-ha. It's the pod where DB talks forever, ever.
Greetings, everyone. It is I, DB Spitzer, once again, to talk about stuff in the middle of the show. It's not normally me, it's normally Dave. He says something like, oh, everyone likes everyone else better than me, which isn't true. Dave gets more fan mail than anyone. I just don't read anyone's fan mail, because, I don't know, no one gets fan mail. Yes. So, hey, here we are, middle part of the show. This week, I am talking about If You Know How to Read. I'm reviewing the Venture Brothers' Radiant is the Blood of the Baboon Heart, which is a 2023 direct to video, direct to streaming. I don't know. I bought it like when it came out a couple weeks back, and I know it goes on, or a week back, and I know it is a rental August 8th. It becomes a rental. Yeah. So, Radiant is the Blood of the Baboon's Heart, Adult Swim show, Cartoon Network, created by Jackson Public, Doc Hammer, stars James Urbaniak, Patrick Warburton, the Ninja Turtle voice guy, Michael Sinanaskis. I don't know. Anyway, and a bunch of other people who have done voices for Venture Brothers in the past. It is little more than the 8th season, but it is an interesting 8th season. It covers all the things that were asked in season 7, and you're like, it didn't cover this, it didn't cover that. It didn't ask those questions. It was just showing how things happened. So if you're like, it didn't like teach us who Scare Bear was. You're not supposed to ever know who Scare Bear is. That's kind of the point of Scare Bear, you guys. It's so we start where season 7 ended, where Dean is sad that he had sex with Hank's girlfriend, and then Hank went into a coma. Hank has this coma world that he can go into now. Anytime he goes into a coma, it's a mix between Barbarella, Hoth from Empire Strikes Back, and then later on it takes on some elements of Zardoz. So yeah, it is goodness. It's a hard movie too. It's roughly like 8 to 12 episodes smashed together without any commercial breaks, without credits between the two, and between episodes and such. And it has all your favorite characters, everyone from Billy Quizboy to Sheila, Mrs. the Monarch. And oh man, it is pretty interesting. So, what I have to say is the show was canceled in, I think, 2018, 2019, maybe 2020. In the last couple years, it was definitely canceled. And Adult Swim decided to do a direct-to-video. So it was released. Okay, I got it on July 23rd, digitally. It's been doing okay. It's got an 88% on Rotten Tomatoes. I want to say, if you're not a fan of this, it's if you're not a fan of Venture Brothers, you're not gonna find this interesting. It's gonna be like going into the 8th season of a show and being like, I don't get this. There's not enough flashbacks to even tell you who half these people are. And if you're someone who quit watching around season 2, season 3, you're not going to get it. You're going to be like, wait a minute, isn't that guy just that? And what about this? And when did that become a thing? And yeah, no, you definitely have to be caught up on Venture Brothers, at least season, I want to say at least season 5. And you can guess a bunch of stuff. Yeah. Yeah. So it pretty much starts off with the main parts. Anyone who can go on Wikipedia can be like, oh, yes, the main sources of the Venture Brothers follies is failure. It's a show of failure and toxic masculinity. But I'm not going to do that. I'm going to talk about how this season, this movie, is pretty much about Henry Allen Venture deciding to find out the mysteries of who his mom is and what his background is. All he knows is he's a clone and he's lived on the Venture compound his whole life, and he doesn't know if there's other ventures out there. Does he have a Ma Venture? That stuff. And Dean wants to find Hank because Dean is upset and sorry that he slept with his brother's girlfriend, which just don't do it. And of course, other members of the Venture family also go with. There's a fair amount of Brock. There's a fair amount of Red Death. There's not enough Shore Leave. Not enough The Alchemist. There's a decent amount of Dr. Orpheus. And Jefferson Twilight is there, and you learn a little bit more about Jefferson Twilight, and Dean may or may not become a vampire. Woo! Yeah, it's a little bit sharper animation wise. It's definitely more in the vein of season 7 than season 1. It's something some people have been waiting over a decade for. Like, it's like a Venture Brothers movie, but ultimately it's pretty much just another season. And if you like Dermot's in it. Ben's in it. Spoiler alert, they don't tell you anything more about Ben. My personal theory: Ben's a Venture brother. He was Doc Venture's brother, and not Doc Venture, not Rusty, but uh, Doc Venture, the real Doc Venture, Hank and Dean's grandfather. Anyway, we find out how, I don't know, we find out how people are related to each other and everyone who's related to each other, even though we might find out in other seasons that other people are related to Hank and Dean and Rusty and everyone like that. Yeah. And I have to say, welcome return of Brick Frog. I love Brick Frog and the Council. I love the Council. The Council is one of my favorite parts of the show, and I am super happy to find out they introduce new villains that are pretty cool. And through Gary, aka Henchman 21, who he's not Henchman 21 anymore, ever since the Sephirox protocol. And yeah, no, how he reacts to seeing a villain that he's never seen before. It's like, oh my god, you're so cool, I gotta go talk to you. You learn more about uh, the monarch's background, and you actually get to see some stuff from many years prior in flashbacks throughout the episodes or the movie. And we find out, like, one of the hundreds of reasons that the monarch hates Dr. Venture. Yeah, no, it's fun. It's told in a way that it doesn't give things away right away, And if you're smart, there's clues. And if you're dumb, it's still a fun ride. So I have to highly recommend this movie. Something I always think is really cool is one of my favorite characters, the monarch. His name is Malcolm Fitzgeraldo, or Fitzcarraldo, making a reference to, I think, what uh, Doc Venture, Doc Hammer and Jackson Public are doing with Fitzcarraldo is making reference to a Werner Herzog film of the same name. And I'm just going to guess that Malcolm is either a reference to Malcolm McDowell or Malcolm McLaren, being that Hammer and Public are fond of 70s music, including punk, but also fond of Stanley Kubrick, which there's a Stanley Kubrick reference in this film, which I think is quite wonderful. Anyway, we learn why the monarch is like the monarch. We learn little bits and pieces about people that kind of round them out. It doesn't make them any cooler, any better, any worse, any more. It's just there's just more complications. And Ben talks to Hank about complications on a watch, and how the more complications there are, the more valuable it is, and that's what a family is the more complications. Anyway, he does it better than me. I mean, he's a paid actor reading a script, and I'm just a podcaster. Anyhow, Radiant is the Blood of the Baboon Heart is available anywhere you can rent digital media. It's available for sale. And also, I believe in September, it's going to be playing on Adult Swim, and you won't have to buy it. You can just watch it. Anyway, that's me. That's all I have to say. Go Team Venture. And unrelated, it is really fun. It's really fun to see everyone from the Venture Brothers again. It's been a couple of years. And it's fun to visit with a high-tech adventure family that you get to see once every couple of years and visit their exploits, their explorations and whatnot. It's like a comic book or something like that comes out every couple of years, and you get to read it, and then you're done, and you're like, yeah, that was awesome, and then you wait a couple more years. I think the stuff I like comes out every couple years. Anyway, so yeah. And my favorite character is and always has been Hank Venture, followed up by Sheila Fitzcarraldo, Dr. Sheila Fitzcarraldo, and Malcolm Fitzcarraldo. Why am I calling them by their formal names? I don't know. Yeah. And stuff is explained about Hank that has been referenced all the way back in like early episodes of Hank talking like a crazy person. Anyway, that's it. No more. Back to everyone else, and have yourself a good one.
Hey everyone, it's me, DB. New sponsor on the show, Glary. Glary offers a great price and better quality goods and services for music lovers. Are you looking for good prices, free shipping, 100% quality guarantee? Glary's got you covered. Guitars, bass guitars, mandolins. They've got saxophones, trumpets, drums. They've got guitar cases, amplifiers, all the stuff that you need without having to break the bank. Inexpensive doesn't have to mean cheap. Check out the show notes to find more about Glary. 20-watt amplifiers for under $50. Hard cases for your electric guitar for under $80. Guitars themselves for under $90. Come on, folks, check out the show notes. Get a Glary.
for a spine-tingling, nerve-shattering podcast featuring all your favorite monsters. You won't believe your ears when you listen to Monster Kid Radio. Here are your hosts, Derek M. Cook, and his ever-rotating stable of guests discuss your favorite classic and sometimes not-so-classic monster movies. Subscribe to Monster Kid Radio through iTunes or Stitcher, or visit monsterkidradio.net before the next weekly episode of Monster Kid Radio. Go through the archives for interviews with Sarah Karloff, Victoria Price, and Joel Hodgson. Listen to discussions about movies like Creature from the Black Lagoon, Island of Terror, and King Kong. And don't forget convention coverage from Monster Bash and the H.P. Lovecraft Film Festival. Classic monsters, modern talk, and the head of Rondo Hatton. Only on Monster Kid Radio.
This part of the show doesn't have a theme song. This part of the show doesn't have a theme song, yeah. Dave and DB and Gretchen go to the movies. Hopefully next week we'll have a real theme song, yeah.
Okay. All right. It Follows. Gretchen,
Yeah.
what can you tell us about It Follows?
Gosh, man. I mean, on the surface, It Follows reads like an STD scare film.
Sure.
Just to keep young people from having sex,
Uh-huh.
are the dangers of that. And then as you start to kind of unfold the story more, you realize there's more and more layers. And the director, I think, left so much ambiguity for many, many reasons. Like he's been quoted as saying he wants it to feel like a dream. That's why you have these technologies that are like of all time periods, cars of all time periods, manners of dress, the weather is incongruent, things like that. But I mean, it's one of those movies, and I hate to say that It Follows, but it's one of those movies that kind of stays with you. I find myself, like, I'll be riding my bike to work in the morning, and if I see somebody who's standing there on the street, because, well, first of all, it's really early when I'm riding into work.
Mm-hmm.
But secondly, if I see somebody who's just standing there, I wonder, oh, please let me be not the only person that can see this person.
Yeah.
And not because I've done anything to get myself into a situation where It Follows monsters will be following me, but
Sure. Okay.
just saying that it's the creepiness that it lends to you is that that sticks with you.
Yeah.
And I think it sort of bears out, it is a 9-year-old movie.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. Yeah.
But there's no way we can really go into this without spoilers. So there will be some spoilers.
Just spoilers alert, everybody.
Yeah. So, before we start going into the movie, one thing I felt right from the get-go was, even before I knew about it, it felt like what I knew about it was an STD scare movie. And it was probably going to show something really graphic in the very beginning, like something that happened to someone, how someone died. And then later, it was going to go with the structure of show something terrible, imply something terrible, don't show anything for a while, and then show something right before towards the end that implies that whoever's left, that might happen to them. Standard stuff. I saw that. I guessed that. What I didn't think is I would feel like this, like, kind of like awfulness, like watching this movie, like just kind of like watching a horror movie and like actually like caring about the people.
Yeah, because they're just like, they're this group of young people that could be just like you or I or friends or, there are moments in this movie that I was like, wow, I have felt those moments. The walking down the street with my sibling and I'm smoking a cigarette and my sister is smoking a cigarette and we're not supposed to be.
Sure.
But I mean, like David, this was one of your favorite scenes, right?
That is an incredibly key important scene.
Okay.
And I want to throw out first, there is not a wasted frame in
No.
this entire movie. Even and you think of it, there's a lot of stuff where people aren't doing something, they're doing something. So even these scenes of just people being together or walking, every single frame is calculated.
Agreed.
But yeah, so I'm sorry, Dee, I don't want to jump in, but
No,
I would love
go
to
for
talk
it.
about that scene. And
Yeah.
so in basically, and the main characters are Jay and Kelly.
Yes.
Jamie Lee Curtis's real sister is named Kelly.
Okay.
Just saying.
There's a lot of these little like Easter eggs in this.
And so this is in between Jay's first and second date with Hugh. And they're walking around, and you notice that the neighborhood, the sidewalk, it's circular, it's curved.
Okay.
And there's this scene where Kelly thanks Jay for walking with her because she didn't want to smoke in front of her mom. Kelly does not smoke for the rest of the movie. She doesn't the rest of the movie, and you think this terrible monster is going to attack them and it's going to be causing stress, but she does. So I think my understanding is that there was a lot more sort of explained, a lot more violence in the first draft. I don't know this, but I think this thing is Survivor from the first draft.
Okay.
And she tells Jay, I know Mom knows I smoke, but it's different seeing it, knowing something and seeing it. And then when you get to the beach house, Jay's friends all, they see they don't see it, but they see it lift her hair. It attacks
Right. They see
Paul,
evidence
breaks
of
her
it.
chair. From that moment on, they've seen it. It's a difference from believing her, and it's Greg, right? It's the other guy.
Yeah.
The neighbor.
I don't know.
The neighbor.
Oh yeah, that's Greg, I think. Yeah, Greg.
Well,
Hannigan.
he doesn't see it, so he believes that something happened to her, but he doesn't have the same experience everyone else has. So he doesn't know like they do. And then it ends, and I don't know if we want to talk about the ending, but Paul and Jay are walking the same path that Jay and Kelly walked, but it's different.
And that's why that's what the director was kind of going for. From things I read about that he had said is that this was based on a dream that he had a nightmare, a continuing nightmare that he had, and that he was like in a circular loop walking, and that something was following him or chasing him.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna throw this out, and again, it's sort of out of order, but if we accept this sort of idea of cosmic horror, is that there is no afterlife.
Yeah.
That we die, the universe is terrible and dark. Then the only thing, the thing that we can hope for the most, is that when we come to that part of our old age when we're about to die and death is following, like it's following them, you're no longer going to have passion. You're no longer going to have romance. You're no longer going to find your partner sexually attractive. The most that you can hope for to have a happy ending is that you spend that time with someone who understands what you went through. And Jay and Paul may not love each other.
Exactly.
They don't have that passion for each other anymore, but they understood what each other went through.
And that's another thing about this film.
And they're holding hands and they're walking like an old couple trying to outrace death. And that you've got somebody that can understand you at the end is the closest in this universe you're going to get a happy ending.
That's so true.
I told you we were going deep.
That's exactly what one of the theories about this film also is that this is a film about survival and how an event happens and that no one believes you. You're the only one. And then you find people that have the same experiences as you, or you create their experiences and you all survive together through that.
Yeah.
I mean, Greg unfortunately didn't make it because, he wouldn't open his door.
Yeah.
But or answer his phone, right? Is that what it was? He wouldn't answer his phone. But but sacrifices have to be made sometimes, unfortunately. And I think that's what happened with Greg, is that he was he offered himself up as a sacrifice. Don't you think?
Yeah.
Because giving her a barrier between, because it only follows each one until it follows the last transmission until it ends that person, and then it goes to the last person and the last person and the last person.
So this is a theory that some people have out there. Why did it take so long to get to Greg?
Oh.
And the theory is that you see him very briefly with
a girl. You're right.
Different girls. And you would hope that, I get that a lot of people die in Detroit.
Yeah.
Right.
People that you knew start dying. But there's a theory that's
be like, suddenly there's a spike in young people's death.
Yeah.
And it leaves it open too. Did Jay did Jay have sex with the guys on the boat? Did Paul have sex with the prostitutes?
Yeah.
Or did they back out? They don't answer that question. So I got, and I don't mean to bogart the show, but I got one other scene I want to talk about.
Oh, no, go for it.
Absolutely seems like it's a waste of scene, but it's not. It's in the beginning when Jay's in the pool.
All right.
And the bug lands on her arm. And she slowly moves her arm and it drowns the bug. This is my theory on this. Jay is so more advanced than the bug. And she moves so slowly, the bug doesn't know what's happening. That is when it comes after her. Jay is the bug. And it's moving slowly like she moved the arm. And whatever it is, whatever cosmic horror it is Jay is to it like the bug was to Jay.
All right. Interesting.
I like that theory.
I deep dive this.
Yeah.
Oh no, I'm with you. We talked a little bit about this last weekend when we were riding home, but it's gosh, I mean, that's I love that theory, dude.
I like it a lot personally as well.
I haven't figured out where the squirrels come in because there's a couple scenes. I haven't figured that out yet. Maybe, but I don't think there's a single scene wasted here.
Okay.
But I got another theory. Ready?
All right, go for it.
We see throughout the movie the juxtaposition of youth, adulthood, and middle age and older age mixed together. And so we see things like when they find Hugh's place, he's got the porno mags there, but the windows are all covered with Sunday comics.
Yeah.
Something from the youth. The windows, he's got beer bottles and soda pop cans to warn him if it's coming in.
Mm-hmm.
When the group is waiting for Jay to come back from her date, first of all, that's a very sort of adult parenting thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But they're playing cards, a child game, but it's playing Old Maid.
Yeah.
And they're sneaking drinks in. Again, that's sort of a childish thing there. And I think throughout we see, the different ages in the movie theater.
To create a sense of agelessness in general, though, because it leads you to believe that either these kids are kids, that they're teenagers, or that they're young adults, or they're on that preface of young adulthood into being an adult. I think that's where we're exploring like sexuality and exploring like playing pretend at being adult.
Yeah. Yeah, no, like a compact seashell that gives you messages.
Well, she's reading the Idiot by Dostoevsky.
It doesn't feel like an adult's reading device. It feels like a child's reading device.
Yeah.
Yeah. But she's reading an adult's book.
Well, and a very one of those books that when you've been told to read, not to read it because it'll ruin your teenage years.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've read The Idiot. It's very nihilistic.
No, I haven't read it.
And honestly, it doesn't have anything to do with this movie, like in any way. Like if I've tried to I've reread some footnotes of it because I was like, was there something that I missed? But
no, I think it's there to let you know how this person is smart or this person is curious.
And like tonally that it's because it is so nihilistic.
Yeah.
I seem to have apparently all the films that I pick have these like kind of tones of nihilism and like unsafeness that you're not left in a cozy scenario afterwards. You're never left like the films I seem to be picking lately are the ones that are like, this doesn't leave you with the warm fuzzies afterwards.
Yeah.
I mean, but that's horror in general.
Sure, yeah, no, that's horror in general. But yeah, no, this is an amazing film. It reminds me of that period of time from like teen years to adult years where you don't quite know how to navigate your life, where you're spending the night at other people's houses, you're out and about, you're spending your own money because you've got your own job, and there's this and if there is this thing of if you're like working class of like what if I get an STD? I can't afford to go to the hospital right now to get that checked out.
Right.
But you do it anyway
on top of TV
because you're a responsible adult.
and definitely, I mean, and there's also when they go and decide they're going to trap the thing.
Yeah.
In the swimming pool.
It's very Scooby-Doo-y.
Yeah, but Yara talks about how, her parents wouldn't let her cross into the 12th mile.
Yeah.
Which I've seen documentaries on 12th mile. Cops don't go in there at night. That's the danger line. But yeah, there's this unknown that is to these suburban kids, which is Detroit.
Yeah.
This dark, scary yet slightly attractive.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it feels like it's about being on your own, but being kind of like tethered to your youth at the same time. Because the main character, she's like trying to go out and date, and have a boyfriend and everything like that, but really relies on her like younger sibling, I assume younger sibling, and her friends who do seem just like maybe they're a little bit younger, but I don't know if that's
an
just
awesome squad.
What's that?
I love her squad. I mean, they are ride or die for Jay.
Oh yeah, totally.
That's that's what having. I mean, and that's I don't think you get to often have those relationships into adulthood.
Yeah.
I think that's another thing is it's, you're there. I mean, like I said, this movie has 1,000 metaphors, right? Like it could be a metaphor for, growing up, metaphor for rape survival, a metaphor for, it's got a lot. And I think that's what makes it so special.
Definitely. There's a lot of ways to interpret this movie, even like not necessarily like this, but it could be that, or just like even mundane kind of things regarding sex of like, how you feel afterwards. You've been with someone who you don't want to be, but you still carry that memory that you were with that terrible person. I mean, it could, just, it covers a bunch of different stuff, but.
And that sex is sold as this be all end all. But do you feel any different?
Yeah.
It's sort of almost disappointment that people sometimes feel with it at the beginning.
I think that's a good way of explaining that, David, because there's those moments of like, I hate to use the term walk of shame, but like there's a lot of these moments that are the very early dawn moments in this film
Yeah.
that lend you after if you've had like a one night stand or you've slept with somebody that you weren't super into or whatever, and had those. There are physical moments that in this film that have that almost manifest that.
Auras of regret is what I want to call it.
Yeah. I mean, because like immediately she's like calls the police after having sex with Hugh, and because he like strapped her to a chair, and you know it's terrifying, and that's a very like rape scenario.
Yeah.
I guess we should probably like I don't want to say the rape word too much. I guess that does kind of trigger things online. I don't want to do all that, but just it's a tough one at times for depending upon your scenario or where your headspace is.
Sure.
But one thing I don't want to leave out before we forget to talk about it is the music by Disaster Piece in this.
Oh my goodness!
Wow, like John Carpenter's like illegitimate child. I tell you.
No, I love Disaster Piece.
The vibe that the music alone registers into this, and how quiet this film is. But then there's these spikes of like quiet synth that kind of bring scenes together, but they're not. Then there's also like broken sound moments. It's so strange, and I think it also lends to the surreal and dreamy qualities of the film.
Oh yeah. The music by Disaster Piece actually inspired music that I did for the show a number of years ago, where you used to have music play all throughout the episode and like have it spike when like audio spiked and stuff like that. But people didn't like it, so I took it out.
You were ahead of your time.
Right.
Well, no, it was I also didn't know how to do it right, and it ended up sounding terrible. And anyway. So yeah, It Follows is, I want to say it's an amazing film. I really enjoyed it.
It's well earned. It's like Cannes accolades. It's Rotten Tomato accolades. It's got lots of Criterion reception or critical reception that's been really positive. I have not seen anybody go, well, this is dumb. You know, it's all online. I mean, it seems to be positive everywhere.
Certainly. And
I want to throw out the cast was amazing.
Yeah. No, I really enjoyed the cast. I thought the cast was really cool. They felt like people who I knew when I was that age. It felt kind of like, oh yeah, I knew people like that when I was in my 20s, when I was in my late teens, whatever. And it felt very kind of like the cast was very kind of like warm, and you cared about them. They weren't stupid assholes who are like, oh, give me the last beer, you bitch. Kind of like teens that you hope die.
Yeah. And I'm not sure how you pronounce Monica Monroe, who played Jay.
Yeah.
She is in in a movie that I think is the first half is extremely scary, and it's a cyberpunk movie called Tau.
Okay.
Where she plays a thief that breaks into a house with an artificial intelligence.
Oh.
And the first half is just absolutely scary. And again, just hits every mark, just like she does on this one. The second half is kind of, once you know what Mad Scientist is and what's going on, it's no longer scary. It's sort of this, where do we fit in the universe? But the first half is just really creepy.
Wow.
I don't Tau? Is that the one
Tau,
that has...
Tau, like the TAU, the Greek letter.
Oh, is that the one with like the weird woman from like that's the alien, but you're not sure if she's an alien?
No, it's she plays a thief who breaks into the scientist's house. I don't want to give too much away.
Oh, I'll have to look for it.
Yeah, the house. It's on Netflix, or at least it was when I saw it. And basically she becomes a prisoner of this scientist in this house that can be booby trapped by an artificial intelligence.
Oh wow,
wild! Yeah, I have to check that out.
Yeah, I was gonna say that the budget for this film was $1.3 million, and it earned $23.3 million in the box office.
So it did really well.
Yeah. And also, Micah Monroe is not only an American actor, but she is also a professional kiteboarder.
Oh.
So.
Oh, weird. That's random.
Hey, I mean, that's probably one way to get away from it when it follows.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. That was goofy. Was there a sequel made for this?
I think there's talks. There have been talks.
Okay. For some reason, I thought there was a sequel for it, but then I realized they just changed the gender of the person on the box, and it was still It Follows. I thought it was like, oh, It Follows 2, but instead of it being the big scary guy, it was a woman. And then I've also seen like the Car cover, or that's the theatrical cover, but like they had different box covers or something like that, or I don't know. Anyway. Oh, no, not box covers. Streaming for like Netflix or something like that. Anyhow. But yeah, no, great movie.
I have one question I always thought was kind of weird and kind of dumb.
Sure.
Like why would Hugh tie her up and like be like, this is what's happening? Why not just tell her afterwards and then be like, deal with the consequence? Why tie her up? Because he didn't give himself any distance, and that's the thing about this thing is it was slow and moving. I mean, I'm sorry to bring it up so late in the game, but I was wondered why the fuck did he tie her up?
So,
I think he's a dummy.
Well, and so there is sort of the real world answer to this.
Yeah,
is the director said that he cared more about it being scary than logical and realistic. And he said if the rule of scary takes over, and I think that's what it did. But in world, I think he was afraid she'd run away and wanted to make sure she saw it. That the other thing possibly, and I'm just throwing this out, is he might have been a good guy put in a bad situation.
No.
He was a jerk.
Yeah.
Jerks like to have control.
You think that was like a metaphor of control?
I think so.
Okay. I mean, sure. I just thought it was just like for like the MacGuffin's sake, like what the point of tying her up, because wouldn't he want her to maybe like flee and create distance? It has distance because it will only follow the next transmission.
Yeah, no, it's the info dump scene, but it's also kind of like makes me think of Evil Dead 2. The guy's just a dummy. The guy thinks he's good. He thinks he's the hero, but he's not, and he's just a dummy.
Because I mean, but he's not so much of a dummy in the sense that the reason why he lines up the tin cans and stuff like that on the string was so that also to show us as an audience that it can't just pass through walls and things like that. That it actually has to go through a door and walk through a thing and like has to walk down the hallway. Like it doesn't just come through the door. Like like that it's not like, except for that when it comes through people, we see that happen a few times.
And I think that there are a million people watch it. They're all going to have a million different versions. It's all completely legitimate.
Absolutely.
But I think that he had this big Batman villain speech, and he was going to be danged if she was going to run away until she heard that speech.
We'll have to tell you how this works.
Mm-hmm. I mean, in essence, he also has to tell the audience, but
right.
But I think psychologically, that especially, and now you got me thinking it, because we know he was a jock, he was popular from the picture, that he used to being in control.
Yeah.
And now it is taking control away from him. So he's lashing out anyway to keep control. Maybe I'm getting too deep. Maybe I need to come up to the shallow end.
I like that you dig deep dive on this one. I do.
And that makes me think, would those two have even met if they lived in the same town, if he wasn't desperate to just like pass this on?
I think that he would not have noticed her, honestly. I think that that's kind of part of it too, is that she's like, I get to be going on a date with a hot guy. Look, not saying that her friend, Paul isn't a cutie patootie, but like, just saying.
Yeah.
She's like she's obviously not like the hottest girl at school or at college or whatever.
Sure.
And maybe that was like this was like her opportunity to be with like one of the hot guys.
And that's sort of interesting. But Yara and Kelly are complaining about how she's too pretty.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's from their point of view. So she's kind of stuck in the middle.
Well, that's called being a woman.
That she's way above them. And
You're not cute enough for you cute. You're too cute. You can't enjoy your cuteness.
Yeah.
It's true. It's true. But yeah, I mean, it follows. This one, like I said, it's one of those films that kind of sticks with you. And like, I mean, the fact that to me, even though it's like this movie, I saw it in the theater when it came out in 2014. And I mean, it pops up on my at least top 15 movies.
Yeah. Yeah. And even if it wasn't like supernatural, even if it wasn't like this otherly thing, even if it was just like a creep who followed like one couple and whoever those people had sex with, he then tried to kill them.
Yeah.
That would be a terrifying movie. But the fact that it's some sort of other, it's some sort of unknown.
And then the idea that nobody believes you.
Yeah.
And nobody can see it but you.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think ultimately most human beings have the fear that of only I am the one who can see this problem, or
Sure.
I'm the only one who can see the monster, or this is only happening to me and nobody else knows what's happening.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think that's what that preys upon.
Yeah.
I could go on and on.
Oh, definitely. Definitely. All right. But yeah, no, and I want to say there's people of a certain age, a certain demographic that lived through the 80s and 90s and remember what the AIDS epidemic was, lost a lot of people, lost a lot of friends. And this is something that it reminds me of for sure, is the AIDS epidemic and how it's like it doesn't care who you are. It doesn't care who you've been with. It doesn't care if you're rich or poor, black or white. It's a sexually transmitted disease that if you're not avoiding, then there's a possibility that you're going to get it. And you don't know until it's too late. It's what it was at, early on. And makes me think, It Follows makes me think of that. Anyway.
Yeah.
Anyhow, It Follows. It's a lot of different things it can bring up. A lot of different. It depends on who you are. It's open enough. It's about sex and fear, and when you combine sex and fear, everyone has different things. Whether it be isolation, whether it be rape, whether it be STDs, whether it be social, not just social diseases, but social interactions, and how sex with someone then alters social interactions. Anyway, it's a lot of stuff. It's about violence. It's about sex. It's about being a woman in America. It's
growing old.
What's that?
Growing old.
Growing old. Yeah. But yeah, no, It Follows. It's in a really amazing movie.
Yeah, definitely worth a watch. If you haven't seen it and we haven't spoiled it for you, go watch it.
Yeah, no, it's like not even like the first, like, I'm not going to talk about it, but the first like 5 minutes of the movie involving the person leaving their house is just
and that's an uncut scene. As near as I can tell, that's like a one take scene.
Let's all give that woman applause for her running in motherfucking heels.
No, running down the street in heels.
Just saying.
Yeah.
I don't know if either one of you have ever worn heels in your life.
Yeah.
It is
Yeah.
not easy to run in them.
No, it's not.
So
But
yeah, I
she
would
deserves
highly
it.
recommend this movie if anyone is listening who hasn't seen it yet.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's amazing. I didn't watch it until just recently. I've been kind of been like, oh yeah, that's that STD movie. I'm fine. I can imagine. And it wasn't as terrible. I thought it was going to be a lot more gratuitous. I thought it was going to be a lot of teenagers or people in their 30s pretending to be teenagers with fake boobs. I thought it was going to be a lot more like that, and it wasn't. And it was so refreshing that it was I don't know, terrifying. And it was young people, and it didn't make me feel like, these people are yikes. But yeah, no, it made me feel like these people, yikes. But
Yeah.
Agreed.
So yeah, I think it is worthy of its acclaim.
I agreed.
Yeah.
So do we know what we're talking about next week on
E.
season 18?
Season 18. Let's see if I can punch up the notes real quick. I know the topic.
I'm sorry, I need to turn in my movie list.
Oh, neither have I. Neither have I. Let's see. I have to go all the way down here. We are talking about Stregoygavar. Stregoygavar.
The City in Hungary.
The City in Hungary from the
Blackstone.
Robert E. Howard's The Blackstone.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know what the movie is yet, but we'll figure that out by the end of
Thursday.
Yeah. So, all right. So yeah. Yep. And then after that, we're talking about Robert E. Howard's Stygia. After that, we're going to be talking about Swami Chandraputra, and then we're going to be talking about the Cho-Cho. So that's the next month coming up.
All right.
All right. Well, everyone, have yourselves a good one. We'll have movies coming up soon, and yeah, that's all I got for now. All right. Thank you again, everyone. Dave, Gretchen, thank you two so much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye.
It's been a fun season.
Yeah. All
Glad
right.
I
Bye,
joined.
everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
All right. That was a good show.
Yeah.
So you want my movie list?
Oh, yeah. Whenever it's ready.
Them.
Oh, yeah, that'd be a good one.
Them and Danny Boyle's Sunshine.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
And this one may be decisive. Jennifer's Body.
All right.
Oh, I love that movie.
It was marketed. We won't go into it. It was marketed terribly, but no, it's a great movie.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Our school library has an occult section.
Uh-huh.
I love that line.
Are you gonna post the list to our group chat?
Yeah, I'll write it
That
in.
way I can not pick the same movies.
Okay.
Cool. Yeah.
All right, guys. I'll see you all next Thursday.
Yeah.
All right.
Hey,
See
do
y'all
you guys
then.
want to just maybe settle on Them just so that we know what to do for next Thursday?
Yeah.
that's
Is
good.
that the Big Ant movie or?
Yeah, the big Ants Attack LA.
Okay.
Oh, that's them. Okay.
I just wanted to double check because I know that there's more than one them.
Oh.
Yes.
It's
So
like
this,
there's more than
another
one
them that you
she,
wanna
there's
do.
more than one it.
so this is the ant them. That's the one we're gonna be talking about.
Is there another Them you'd rather watch?
No, this is